stuff during the day, and we'll do stuff at night here and there. But, it was a different type of trip where a lot of it was business, but we were able to check in some of the area too.
Yeah. California, as we said, I probably said it 100 times when I came in and we talked pre-show. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the country, just the weather out there. Nobody takes for granted the weather in Florida because it's just humid and arid and it's just not fun to be around. But when you're in 50 to 70 degree weather almost daily, which you had out there, fortunately, it's second to nothing. You really can't beat that.
No, what was nice is in my hotel, being on the second floor, I could see a lot of the mountains from where the freeway was. So nothing wrong with waking up in the mountains every single day. But then again, where I was at, you could see the traffic too. But the mountains of California are great. The drive up Pacific Coast Highway is even better. With that said, we have Jake Rongholt on the South Florida Tribune hotline. And Jake, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you.
Glad to be back, Scott. How's everything in L.A.?
Oh, everything in L.A. was chaotic, and you want to talk about traffic in every sense of the word. That was definitely it. You want to talk about I don't know, what's that game, Pac-Man or, pinball?
Frogger?
What's that?
I was singing Frogger.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I don't know, between Pac-Man and pinball machines, that'll describe the LA traffic in a nutshell. But meanwhile, it's nice to be back on the East Coast. My brain is kind of trying to get used to this deal a little bit. But it don't matter. Glad to be on with a lot of my favorite people here on the Sports Exchange. All right, well, Jake, with that said, okay, the one event that I didn't have a chance to pay much attention to being on the West Coast was the college football playoff. Why? I mean, I was too busy running around doing the Southern California thing. And what's amazing about that game is when I was at LAX last night, oh, that's right, the game is on today. It was kind of like an afterthought with all the running I was doing. I was over in a restaurant eating some tortilla soup last night, and that was spicy stuff. And by the way, there is a football game going on. There's a national championship involved. You know what? When you're engrossed in everything that's going on there, it's another story. So
yeah, it felt like I was watching a sports movie in the making. Like I'm talking in 2020, we're going to have the story of. In 2030. Let me try that again. In 2030, I feel like we're going to have a movie about the 2020 LSU Tigers, and that's what it felt like right now with this 2019-2020 team. Joe Burrow was incredible yesterday. 6 touchdowns on the night, 60 on a year, only threw 6 interceptions. And the craziest thing about Burrow that made me think of him is that he was able to connect with his receivers. He was able to lay it into the breadbasket, throwing dimes to Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. And let me talk about a wide receiver that really stepped up his game and could be a first-round pick. Jamar Chase out of LSU really stepped up his game last night and really felt like he could be a weapon for the future. And when he gets that opportunity at the NFL, it could be interesting to see what Jamar Chase could do. And then Justin Jefferson, he just got better as the night went on. But I feel like the real winner last night was the LSU defense. Everybody was asking the question if the LSU defense could contain Clemson explosive capabilities. I mean, you had Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Justin Ross, you had Higgins, you got Travis Etienne, and they were able to close them out. After Clemson scored and made it a 3-point game, they got 2 back-to-back touchdowns by Burrow, and were able to close it out against Clemson. But it was because of the LSU defense, the aggressiveness, the swagger, and give a lot of credit to Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU. Ed Orgeron did an amazing job this year. It was just a great championship, and the right team won.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, LSU looked impressive from the start. I mean, the only school that probably has egg on its face is that school out in Southern California called USC, when Orgeron wasn't good enough to get that job. And how are they feeling in Trojan territory now? Pretty rotten, knowing that this guy looked awfully decisive and dominating with the group that he had. And yeah, you talk about some of Nick Saban's good teams. LSU, what they did last night with Orgeron, maybe it doesn't taint Alabama's accomplishments, but boy, Ed Orgeron is sitting very pretty right now. Go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah, so Jake, obviously, we watched the game last night. All of us here were able to see it. Trevor Lawrence in that national championship game in 2019 against Alabama, we have to remember this guy's a 19-year-old freshman going up against arguably the greatest college coach of all time. He looked amazing, close to perfect against, Alabama and Nick Saban and that great defense that led them to another undefeated season. But when he goes up against LSU, a program where we've discussed ad nauseum how their reputation kind of slogged for the last decade or so because, they had problems at quarterback for so long. They're going up against a team that, while great by theory of context and just history is in Alabama. You think Trevor Lawrence kind of let his guard down a little, Jake, and thought, I have this game kind of locked up for myself. I know Joe Burrow's great, and he's probably going to match me blow for blow. But watching that game, I'm thinking he looks kind of scared out there. That's the first loss he's ever had in his college career. But he looked a lot like they ran a lot of pass rush against him late in that game, and he succumbed to a lot of it. And yet when he was getting rid of the ball, he was underthrowing receivers, overthrowing. I think they put up a graphic in the fourth quarter. He had like 14 overthrows in that game. I mean, you never see that from a guy like Trevor Lawrence. I feel like he went into that game too cool, calm, and collected.
Well, he overthrew 13 receivers, and the thing is that is the first loss in his entire football career. Even in high school, he was a winner. Went undefeated and did the same thing with Clemson. This was new to Trevor Lawrence. He's never lost before. And what LSU did was that they had that speed. They trusted their front seven. They had those blitzes come in. Those spies came in off the corner, off the safety, and were able to come in and really frustrate the daylights out of Trevor Lawrence. That was the big thing. I mean, you saw these big guys just crash right through that offensive line, get after him, and force him to really make some errant throws. And that was one thing. I don't feel like it was Trevor Lawrence's fault. I just felt like the pressure from LSU made him mortal. And this could be good for Trevor Lawrence going forward because I figure I was watching two NFL quarterbacks for the future playing last night with Burrow and Lawrence. Lawrence is going to come back. He has one more year before he can become eligible for the NFL draft. And I think that Clemson already set it up for the way too early predictions. Clemson is still going to be the team to beat going into 2021. But keep an eye out on LSU too, because Ed Orgeron is going to go try and find his next great quarterback and set that up for the future. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence had a tough night, 237 yards, overthrew a bunch of receivers, just didn't look crisp. But sometimes losing can make you a better player going forward, especially when that's your first loss ever.
In a national title game, how crazy.
Well, when you look at Trevor Lawrence, okay, you talk about guys that have come back and whether you have rematches or you had the Alabama-Clemson thing repeated a couple times. The one thing that you can't lose sight of, you got game film out here. Mm-hmm. Teams adjust. Mm-hmm. They really do. And when they see what your tendencies are, then they're going to approach things a certain way. But yeah, I hear that Clemson is a favorite going out of the gate. I'm talking to you two guys. I didn't even watch the stupid football game because I was in an airport. So I'm going to let you guys give me the old rundown here about what you saw. But I do know in my mind that you're right. Okay, Ed Orgeron, after what he did with Joe Burrow with that transfer thing, that guy will be looking in the transfer portal all day long to find his next transfer. And you know what? Let me tell you something, guys. That transfer portal, as more and more schools continue to find talent, give them second chances. Don't underestimate the significance of what that thing can produce. Mm-hmm. And we've begun to see a lot of quarterbacks move on from other universities to go. So you want to talk about the word trending? Transfer portal will definitely be among one of those that are trending.
And a lot of the hate that Lawrence is receiving.
But the transfer portal has to be with good coaching, though. You can't just be like Kelly Bryant and transfer off to Missouri where there was about to be a fired coach in Barry Odom and then have one of your worst seasons statistically. I mean, going to Missouri was one of the worst decisions that Kelly Bryant made because now he might not even have an opportunity. He has to go to the combine to at least try and get some kind of point to become like a fifth or a sixth rounder going forward. So if you're going to do the transfer portal and you want to make this a trend, you got to have good coaching. Ed Orgeron has pro experience. His first job was a defensive line coach with the Dallas Cowboys when Jimmy Johnson was there. So Orgeron is no stranger to this. He has been punched in the mouth more times than we could think. He was fired at USC. He was brought in as an interim coach of all things to LSU, and it just dropped into their lap, finding out that Orgeron was one hell of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do a transfer portal, make sure you go to the right program with the right coach and try and make something of yourself.
Good point. Yeah. Again, though, we're starting to see trends with guys. Jalen Hurts, obviously, is a guy that benefited by that over at Oklahoma, and I think he actually is a pretty good pro prospect. I really do.
Yeah. A lot of people like his duel. He reminds me a lot of a young Deshaun Watson coming out of Clemson. And I want to say this. I think, and Jake, I'm not sure where you stand on this. I think a lot of the hate on Trevor Lawrence that we were seeing on Twitter last night and this morning in the wake of that loss is really unfair. You said it yourself. This is his first loss in college football. He had been the man won a national championship as a freshman, as a starting quarterback. When I was 19, I was barely trying to type a college paper, get 1,000 words on a sheet of paper double-spaced, and this guy's winning national championships in front of 70,000 people. So, one loss in a national title game is going to hurt your reputation somewhat, but I think it's unfair to pin it all on him.
It is unfair, but it's also Twitter when it comes to watching sporting events. And this is one thing. This is a rule of mine. I never go on Twitter when I am watching a football game or anything unless I am actually working the game. If I'm not working the game, I'm not tweeting, okay? Because I've had enough of these armchair quarterbacks that think they know everything about football when they know nothing. They do not realize that Trevor Lawrence, he started off really rusty this year, then came to life and became the Trevor Lawrence we knew last year. Keep in mind, this guy has never lost before. He doesn't know the meaning of the word loss until last night. And now he has this great opportunity to really defy the odds and get back to the national championship next year in the college football playoff. Yeah, I understand Twitter and social media and all that stuff, but I'm not buying it. Trevor Lawrence will be just fine for the future. Still has one more year of eligibility. He'll be fine.
And I'll ask you this question now because, again, adversity is something that he hasn't really had to deal with at football. I believe he only lost 2 games in his entire high school career, too. When the day comes, and I feel like it's inevitable barring a serious injury next year, how do you think he's going to be able to handle losing in the NFL when he's going to possibly going to be the first overall pick for a really bad team that's rebuilding? Maybe the Giants have a horrible season and get the first pick, and Trevor Lawrence is wearing, the blue and white in a year or two.
Well, it could be interesting for 2021, but I don't think he'll be anywhere near the Giants because Joe Judge is going to be the coach there, and they just hired a solid offensive coordinator to really build around with him. And another thing, too, is the Panthers just went and got Joe Brady to join Matt Rule over there. So they're going to be looking over at Trevor Lawrence, and they might make a move with Joe Burrow. But the thing is that, look, this is why you come back again. You did a great job in your freshman year. You did a good job in your sophomore year. Now your junior year. This is the time where you rise. Now you start to have this ability, this freedom to think about, okay, do I want to go into the NFL draft or do I want to come back as my senior? Because now you've got a top-ranked coach. You got a great staff there at Clemson. Dabo Swinney is going to make sure that you are well taken care of. Remember, Kelly Bryant had that opportunity, and Dabo said, fine, I'll let you transfer the day before that was about to expire. He will do whatever he has to help Trevor Lawrence going forward. I think he'll be just fine. And when he understands getting into that tough atmosphere of the NFL and being that rookie, he's just going to have to learn on the ground up, and that's how it's going to go.
All right, let's go into the NFL playoffs. A few games occurred over the weekend. What stands out, Jake?
Well, what really stands out is this just came in. We got some breaking news. Big shocker, but the Carolina Panthers just lost their captain. Luke Kuechly has retired from the NFL at age 28.
Wow, he's young. And he was a great player for a long time.
Well, also another thing, Luke Kuechly was also very highly respected of Ron Rivera. He loved him pretty much like a son. And now you got this new guy coming in with Matt Rule. You understand the injuries that he has dealt with throughout the years, and sometimes it just feels like it's time to go. some people will end up like Thomas Davis. Some will end up like Luke Kuechly and Patrick Willis. And I give a lot of credit to Kuechly